Good evening, everyone. We'll open the meeting up. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll open the meeting up to public comment. Front end of public comment is for agenda items only. So if anyone has any questions pertaining to the agenda, you can come forward. Please state your name. Okay, we don't have any public comment. We'll go into our special presentation, Leaders of the Pack. I'll have the elementary school come up first.
So this is Harley LaFew. Good evening, everyone. She is third grade. She's Mr. Sommerfeld's student, and she is our leader of the pack for October. Mr. Sommerfeld shared some words about you. A classmate was put in an uncomfortable situation during lunch by another classmate. Harley stood up for her friend and made sure that the action was stopped before the lunch monitor got involved. Harley confirmed students were behaving appropriately, and she showed good leadership skills. Mrs. Hughes, the art teacher, shared, Harley is a great addition to the classroom community. She's always willing to help and assist her fellow classmates whenever they need it. Her focus and attention during lessons and work time is commendable. That means very good. Coach Canosa, our physical education teacher, shared Harley is a class leader by example. She's always safe with equipment and is a responsible student in the gym. And for all these reasons and more, you are our leader of the pack. Congratulations.
One more.
Big smile. So proud of you.
Yay.
Okay. So for the middle school, 8th grader Malia Gonzalez was selected as our October leader of the pack. So I could read all these things, but every single staff member and every teacher that Malia had all basically said the same thing, which is that she's an amazing, kind, thoughtful, caring person. She's probably one of the most favorite students of all the staff members because of that, and I think that's a tribute. I'll read a few real quick. So Mr. Rinaldi said he's been fortunate to have Malia for 2 years. She's a very conscientious student who's always willing to help her classmates. She brings a positive attitude with a smile and laughter every single day. Mrs. Leahy said Malia is thoughtful, kind, and eager to assist her peers. Again, same things. She takes her academics seriously and is willing to help others with their academic needs. Along with being polite to her teachers and staff, she also demonstrates kindness to all of her classmates. So before I read the last one, I also want to say that she's one of my sail buddies. So Malia goes to our after school program sail almost every day. She's a fantastic student, but she still goes every day. And so we always have fun at waiting for the late buses. I just wanted to throw that in there. Lastly, probably, I think maybe Malia's favorite staff member. And I know Nurse Jen and Malia have a close relationship. The Nurse Jen said, Malia is outstanding in all aspects of middle school life, which we agree with. She has the greatest sense of humor and is full of wit. She brightens my day when she stops into my office to say hi or just to talk. So congratulations, Malia. You deserve this.
Thank you. One more, I think.
Oh.
Mom, do you want to come around so you can get a picture?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Ready? Did you prepare your speech? Good evening, everybody. I always love this part of the meeting. It just highlights a lot of positivity, with the students and what they're bringing to our schools and our community. Tonight, I present Lingair Endai, who is an 11th grade leader of the pack at the high school. From my perspective, when I first met Lingair last year, when I started, I saw this very studious individual, bright smile, very dedicated to her schoolwork and her extracurricular activities. She's currently involved with our direct committee, and she speaks very well. She's promoting a lot of positive things that we are trying to move forward with the committee. So I commend her for her efforts with that, and we appreciate that student aspect on the committee. I'm going to read some blurbs from her classroom teachers of the wonderful things that they have to say about Lingair, or also now known as Ling, which I just learned recently is her nickname, Ling for short. Lingair in Mr. Welch French class. She is diligent and a thoughtful young woman whose insights enrich class discussions. As someone who speaks multiple languages with her family, including French, she supports her classmates during group work and has a lot to offer, which I greatly appreciate. I know Lingair will accomplish a lot and improve the world in whatever capacity she decides in the future. She epitomizes excellence in everything she does. That was Mr. Welch. Mr. Geller for PE. Lingair makes an effort to try her best in everything and help motivate herself and others around her at all times. Dr. Scrow in science. Ling is a hardworking and dedicated student that demonstrates a meticulous attention to detail in all of her work. She prepares work carefully, asks insightful questions, and is an asset to the class both academically as well as personally. Mr. Shout for band. Ling is a quiet leader in both the concert band and jazz band. She is dependable, responsible, and kind. Ling is very musical and has worked on advanced repertoire in both classical and jazz styles. Ling serves as the treasurer of Tri-M Music National Honor Society. Ling makes the entire music department better every day through her leadership and musicianship. Miss Saylor for social studies. Ling is fantastic. She puts effort into all of her work that she does and is a model student during class. She is thoughtful, soft-spoken, and leads in the best way possible. By example, Ling is a joy to teach. She is the kind of student that you wish you had 100 of. And for me as a principal, 500 of. Congratulations, Ling. You deserve this honor. And lastly, for Mr. Cozzolino, also in science, I knew Ling a little bit from Science Olympiad and Mathletes in the past, but I am thrilled to have her as a student this year. Even though she is the only junior in her class and surrounded by seniors, she is obviously a leader in the classroom. Her work ethic, positive attitude, and willingness to help a neighbor in need make her a role model for her peers. So with that being said, I want to congratulate you on behalf of myself, Mr. Murphy, the Board of Ed, and administration and community. So congratulations.
Come on, Mom.
Yes. You want to take a picture?
Oh, no.
There we go.
You can't help me, I'm too expensive.
On behalf of the entire board, congratulations, job well done to all our leaders of the pack. And for the parents that are here, if you like to leave, you can, or if you want to stay, you can stay for the entire meeting. But you're welcome to go. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Surveillance. Good to see you. Likewise.
Okay, we have our consent agenda from FA1 to C2. If there's any items that you'd like to pull out, we can deal with them separately. If you have any questions, I'm sure we can answer those questions for you. So can I have a motion to move our consent items forward? Motion by Tom, second by Ed. Anyone have any questions, concerns?
The only question I had is on the probationary, the custodian and the step on that. Is that because they've had like prior experience?
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
many years actually.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, we'll move forward. We have a motion on the floor by Tom, second by Ed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
So I don't know if the board would like to recognize some of the folks that are on there, but we have Sarah Hathaway in the back, who will be stepping in as interim assistant principal at the middle school during Mr. Carnwright. I almost called you Coburn. Mr. Carnwright will be moving into the interim principal position during Mrs. Coburn's upcoming leave of absence. So congratulations to you. Did I catch everybody? Is there anyone else in here? No, I think that's it.
Under curriculum and instruction are principal monthly reports. Elementary school.
I don't know. I thought you could switch it up. I really did. Like last year, you switched it up every once in a while. So I was like, all right, maybe this time. So I guess the only thing I had to add, kind of, to my board report was something that is on towards the very end. And I just wanted to highlight the remarkable student that's at the middle school and all the work that Nadia Metz has put into the greenhouse and like planning and like, you know, I think she's realizing there's a lot to doing all this, and so she's been thorough, extremely thorough. So I think it's you know, I just wanted to really point that out, that she's done a phenomenal job. They are coming, their first work day is this coming weekend. And you know, the other thing is, you know, she's been helped by Pete and letting him like help her understand how things work, and you know, that there's not just like we submit a plan and everything's great and we go, that there's more to this. And you know, between deliveries and there's like, you know, time, traffic, and there's all kinds of other things that go on. And so I think she's done a phenomenal job at, you know, doing that, and we've been teaching her along the way. And I think that that's really something I am really proud of, and she's not even my student. So, you know, and then they're working on so on Sunday, they're going to do the first work day, and, you know, they're going to level everything, throw some aggregate down, foundation and stuff like that. So that's what her plan is. And again, there's always hiccups and weather and all that fun stuff. So we'll see how she's going with all that kind of stuff. So it's not a massive building, but it's like a little, you know, it's not very big, but it's, you know, a little mini greenhouse that we're having at the elementary school. So I'm really happy that we can get going on this. And
this is her Eagle project. Is
Yes.
that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and she's done phenomenal. So, and pulling all the stakeholders, and yeah, so she's done a very good job. So,
Well, that's exciting.
it is. It'll be exciting when it's up. And
Is it gonna be near where the current garden is?
Yeah, it's right like Pete, how many feet away? I'm throwing you in with.
Yeah,
It's
near the existing garden.
Yeah, it's like 10 feet away, you know, so they can move everything in and out.
Very good description.
Good.
And it does not have a foundation.
Oh, yeah.
It has a
Platform.
platform.
Yeah, sorry.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very excited.
Any other questions for Hayden? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to second Mr. Miller's help. We have 2 students in the middle school who are also doing Eagle projects, and Mr. Miller has been very supportive of those students doing their projects too, which has been awesome to see students interact with Mr. Miller and ask him questions and hear from me often. So it's been a very good, exciting thing to see, which I'm happy about. The other thing I just wanted to highlight, we do have our Spooky Week coming up next week with PBIS, and yes, it's a flyer, Mr. Zimmer. So this is just for PBIS next week. We do have our costume challenge, as well as some other things incorporating into our new house system that we have going at the middle school. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Murphy?
Good evening all. Just one very quick update to my principal report. On October 11th, we had almost 100 combined 10th and 11th graders take the PSATs. It went nice and smoothly, no issues at all, so glad to report out on that. That is the only addition I have.
Any questions for Mr. Murphy?
Not a question, just a comment, just in terms of the awards that were done. I believe it was with transportation. I think there was a few different involvements here, but just with the awards that were given just for the younger students, obviously those paws always go a long way, but we know with older students that doesn't necessarily, but those cookies I'm sure did. And I think just a great job. It shows that how well everybody works together, because obviously it's transportation, it's food service, and it's the high school. So just great job overall. I think it's just a small token, but it probably goes a long way.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Okay, moving on, we have our Director's Monthly Report. I believe we have all our directors here this evening, so if you have any questions for them, just shout them out.
I don't have a question, but just for the free lunch and breakfast, I think just thinking about Maslow's law, making sure that kids have what they need so they can focus on learning. So I think thanks for removing this barrier for some of our kids.
Anyone else? Again, I have to say, I guess our directors are doing a fabulous job because there's no questions or comments. So thank you to all our directors for your monthly reports. Moving right along, student rep, Lily.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start with the elementary school. I have that the kindergarten and the 4th grade class both went on field trips that provided unique opportunities for students to learn in a new environment and make some real world connections to knowledge that they've gained in their classrooms. We want to give a thank you to the teachers in the kindergarten classes. Mind my pronunciation here. Miss Hollyfield, Miss Campaign, Miss Hajab, Miss Milby, Miss Schneidler, Miss Salazar, and Miss
Letizia.
Letizia? Okay. Yeah. And all their teacher assistants and the parent volunteers for taking the kindergarten classrooms to visit Herd's Farm, where everyone enjoyed apple cider donuts, hay rides, pumpkin patch, and apple picking, and rich academic discussions on farm and their produce. More shout outs to the 4th grade teachers in the classroom. Miss Fasano, Miss Halleck, Miss McCracken, Mr. Brenny, Miss Bove, Miss Halpern, Miss Yule, and Miss Berger, the teachers' assistants and the parent volunteers there, for taking the 4th grade students to the 10-acre National Historic Landmark District in New Paltz, New York. The visitors experienced over 300 years of history. The students learned about the Huguenots and their journey starting in France and ending in their home in New Paltz, New York. and they saw historical maps and documents from the first European settlers. October 30th, Monday, is picture retakes and the start of Spirit Week. And then for the middle school, I have the 3rd annual PBIS Ghost Games will take place on Halloween. Students are competing in Halloween-themed games to earn points for their houses. That was previously mentioned. After-school activities and clubs are underway. There's been a lot of attendance so far, so that's really exciting. Student council elections are also going to start taking place soon. There's multiple students running for each position, so that's exciting. Competitiveness is always good. The 6th grade is planning to take a trip to West Point in November. Students are going to tour the academy, see all the sites, learn about the history of West Point and the U.S. Military Academy. The Highland Middle School PTA will host this year's first school dance on November 17th at the middle school, and all the Highland Middle School students are invited to attend. And then lastly, for the high school, we have on October 2nd, the entire freshman class went to Ryan Youth Rally at SUNY Ulster to learn about the dangers of addiction, vaping, and drugs. The trip was a good success, and they look forward to going back next year. On October 17th, various students attended a trip with our school psychologist, Dr. Path, for a suicide prevention and awareness trip. Students got to listen to speakers talk about the signs and prevention strategies and how to help if ever needed. On October 20th, the high school choir attended SUNY Schenectady for a high school choir workshop. That was very successful. The Highland choir got a lot of recognition there, so that was nice. Our first taste of success Lunch and Learn program is kicking off on October 26th with the local business Studio Blue Dental. They're going to come and talk to the students about dentistry, offer an inside look at the business if anyone's interested to learn more. The PTSA Brooks Barbecue Fundraiser is also taking place in the back parking lot of the high school on October 30th, and there's more information on the website for that. And then most of our fall sports are wrapping up. A few noteworthy accolades are Isabella Goodwin, who qualified for sectionals in the free swim, and she's competing November 4th. And Jessica Renton and Grace Kohler were the Mahal doubles champions for varsity girls tennis. So that's also exciting. That's great. That's everything I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Lily?
Really just a comment, as tonight we'll be adopting the budget calendar, which kind of kicks off the beginning of the discussions for formulating the 24-25 school year budget. So I think that, and we value student input in this process. So as we go through the budget process, I just want you to think about stuff that you might see in other districts that we don't have here. Sometimes those themes emerge through our budget discussions, and just looking forward to student input through the budget process.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you, Lily. Okay, Assistant Soup for Human Resources and Pupil Personnel.
Good evening, everyone. Last week I met with an individual from the Smart Staffing Group, and they came to us as a support that they could provide to us that's totally free. They have a 5-year grant from through the State Ed Department through Access VR. And what they can do for students with IEPs and students with 504s, they come in and they can provide pre-employment supports. So they focus on job exploration, workplace readiness, self-advocacy, work-based learning, and post-secondary opportunities. So some of our students with IEPs get some of these supports in our transitional skills class. But this is an opportunity for some more students to get some of that. And like I said, it's completely free to us, and they work around our schedule. So they'll do it during the day, they'll do it at night, they bring in food, and really just provide some more opportunities for students to prepare them for life after here. So it's another avenue for some ideas, and they could eventually get hooked up with some potential paid internships when they leave here as well. So we were excited to meet with them. So we'll be planning that over the next couple of months, and we're looking for this to take place probably end of winter, early spring time frame. And it's 15 hours, so we try to work it. We're going to try to work it in with the least amount of disruption as possible, but still making it accessible for students. So we're looking forward to working with them. Ulster County Department of Health is putting on a Mind, Body, and Soul. They're calling it a Youth and Parent Expo. So the county has really made a concerted effort of trying to increase our mental health supports. Although it feels like we're constantly trying to chase this need that we have, they have been pretty steadfast in their dedication to it. Last time I spoke, I had said we were missing our clinician from LaSalle. They have filled that role, so we do have somebody in that to help support some of those students with those outside services that we recommend. But this Youth and Parent Expo, they're going to have a lot of mental health resources and agencies there to connect with families while still making it a very fun day for families to bring. They're having music performers, virtual reality games, basketball, pickleball, boxing, and they're gonna have a flick and float, which is students or children can be floating in the pool in Kingston while they're watching a movie. So they're going to be watching the movie Inside Out. Yeah. So we will be putting this out to our families as something for them that they can attend. And the county was working with UCAT to try to provide different stops throughout the county to get transportation there as well, which has been, it can be a hurdle sometimes, so that they're acknowledging that. So we're excited about that. And lastly, I'll be meeting with we have a new Medicaid specialist. We still have the same company that we've worked with, but we just have a new specialist that's assigned to our district. And every 6 months we meet with them to go over updates and changes. At NISCUS a few weeks ago, one of the presentations was sharing that they were trying to make it more accessible and easier for districts to access this reimbursement. So there is a lot of paperwork that's included with it. So they've acknowledged that, and they're trying to find ways that we can reduce that time spent on that to make it easier for school districts to access that money. So, which was another positive thing to hear.
Any questions for Dr. Boyd? Thank you. Curriculum and instruction, Mr. Zimmer.
Good evening, everyone. I have 2 items to share with you tonight. Last week, Instructional Council met, at which our grade level coordinators and department chairs were treated to an informative presentation by content specialists from Ulster BOCES model schools. The subject of their discussion revolved around cutting edge technologies, including artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, and their implications for education and instructional practices. The content of the presentation was engaging for all who attended. Students, parents, faculty, staff, and administrators of the Direct Committee, including new members, met last Tuesday evening in the High School Library Media Center to discuss the draft policy 3430, which is diversity, inclusion, and racial equity, and to set goals for the 2023-24 school year. In addition, members discussed strategies for moving the district forward in terms of implementing the proposed policy. And the next Direct Committee meeting will be on Tuesday, December 5th on Zoom. If anyone's interested in attending, please reach out to me or Harriet Meyer at the high school.
What was that date, Bill? I'm sorry.
December 5th. Tuesday, December 5th at 6 p.m. And that one will be on Zoom. So anyone interested, just reach out to me or Harriet, and Harry will share the Zoom link. Whatever you send.
Tuesday?
No, we made sure it wasn't.
The next week.
Absolutely right.
One in November, one in December.
Correct. And I'll put that link in my update
Okay.
that week.
Yeah, the same. That week.
Great.
Any questions?
The only thing, I like the ChatGPT. Is that available in district yet? You have any AI, or are you blocking those?
So
I'll be up front saying I'm blocking up to the south.
Yeah, ChatGPT, the actual ChatGPT website is still blocked. However, slowly, surely we're adding more. One of the sites that they were learning about at the Instructional Council is called Brisk. It's an add-on for the web browser, and we've had some interest from teachers already starting to use that, so we've been pushing that out. We have a few other programs that also are incorporating more AI. Kahoot is one of them. They have a new, AI component to that. And so even though we're not pushing out ChatGPT yet, it's still very much available.
Right. So there's a few layers to the AI discussion, right? So I'm through the content piece. So basically, there are now trainings available that will show teachers some beginning lessons on how to use AI. A lot of it's comparative, right? You write it, ask ChatGPT to write it and compare the results. So those are evolving, and the PD is really firming up around that piece. The silo that's left to tackle, if you open these up, is then assessments, right? So we've got the content discussion, we're feeling pretty good about that. But now AI moves into the assessment discussion, because if you open it up, that means students have these tools available to them, right? So where do we sit with the assessment side of the pie? And that's just something I'm tackling in my own practice, but I'm probably a month or two away from opening those up within district. And, I know you stay close to your county cohorts, as do I, on this. I haven't heard of anybody just opening them up just yet either. So, no.
I'd say one of the reasons I brought it into instructional council, I had that team come in to meet with the administrators last June and give us the presentation. The presentation, it was like a different presentation just 4 months later, because so much has changed. So I felt like it was a very different, very eye-opening. My thought was to bring the grade level coordinators and the department chairs in to hear and to see about it, hopefully to bring it back to their departments and their grade levels to start the conversation, because it's happening, it's coming, and we have to.
I've got active requests from faculty saying, hey, open it up, I'd like to use it, and I'm sure you do too.
Whether we block it or not, they're using it at home. The kids
well, right.
It's reminiscent of when in the 90s when I was teaching high school, Google. Everybody was like, oh no, we can't teach anymore because there's this internet and Google. And we adapted and we learned, and we'll have to do the same thing. So,
want to ask the student board rep, have you used ChatGPT or any of these AI engines at all?
There are so many different, various AI. I know that Snapchat, the social media, they just added an AI character that you could just ask, to have a conversation with, and it has human traits. I haven't used ChatGPT, but I've messed with various AIs and asked it questions. I do want to say though, it's very interesting because it's all very new, but if you actually look, there's so many little bugs. If you actually look, one time I was messing around with it and I asked it a genuine question about a DBQ, and then I read its response and I was like, this is not a DBQ. It's a good intelligent response, but it's not what I would,
And that goes back to what Mr. Zimmer was saying about the 1990s when we started using Google as teachers, and we had to wade through a lot of not good information and try to show students how to navigate and discern whether those sources were reputable.
Yeah. It's funny, the recent arcs on the AI they were using, because AI is utilizing the general populace as a form of education.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was arcing, and now they find there's actually a dumbing down of AI because it's using the general population.
No.
So it's an interesting, it's just as susceptible as all of us.
I think it's a good move to just introduce it, because we have, doctors using it, AI, and there's a lot of great tools, tutoring support. So it's about teaching the kids the right way to use it, entering the right prompts, and then similar for staff, there's ways to help be a thought partner and brainstorm instead of having to, I use it too.
it eliminates blank page syndrome. Nobody's going to sit there with a blank page anymore. It'll always give you something to start with. So we just have to learn how to use it.
So I found that interesting. I think the other comment I had, and I'll get this to you guys, but looking through the website on the direct committee, we're out of date there, and there's a few things needed. The timeline could certainly be updated. We've had 2 presentations by Jess, so only because we want that to be, for the Board of Education, we want that to be an evidence-based artifact that we're committed to this.
Right.
But the first page is this big blank page, and I started to think, and I just wanted to know if you thought it was a good idea. Can we have that's screaming for a graphic, that first page, so that DE committee, like screaming for a graphic. Is there a way maybe we can have like a drawing submittal or something like this, and then the committee, right? So kids submit artwork. So here's the page. It's our diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, and that's what we want to symbolize. And then maybe collect some artwork, and the committee can then select the graphic for that.
I like that idea.
Just an idea.
Absolutely.
So that's fine for the artwork, but the timeline and all that, I'll send you some stuff for update.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, our superintendent comments.
Okay, so Camille had mentioned this as a thank you to food service. We just promoted this today out to our families that the state government has come through and helped us with no-cost breakfast and lunch for our students beginning November 1st. One thing, because we were trying to get this information out so quickly, Lindsay came running over after it went out and reminded me that, and we will make sure that everyone is aware, this is for this year only at this point. We will obviously be hoping that this moves beyond this school year, but you know, we're very happy to the legislature and for coming together and working on this, because we were not in that first group. And we were off by just a couple percentages to be able to offer this, whereas some other districts were able to offer it right from the beginning. So, so we're very fortunate. John has done a lot of work on this, and his colleagues across the county working together. The nice thing for Highland is that all of our schools are able to participate. I'm hearing from some superintendents around the county that some of their schools are eligible, but not all. So that's something that they're going to have to work through, whether, you know, the district subsidizes or whatever it is, but it would be hard for a place to offer it to one school and not the other. So thankfully we're not in that predicament. So this went out to parents today. It's also on our Facebook page, website, and social media. So November 1st, very excited that students will be able to eat every day.
And, you know, I believe this deserves a round of applause. Our legislators and everybody who's been involved with this. However, I believe we need to keep the pressure on.
Absolutely.
Right? In New York, given what all of you pay in your taxes, we should feed our students, hands down. And let's put this behind us. The sooner we can absorb it in the state budget, the better. So keep the pressure on, but we appreciate the move in the right direction. And I'm sure families do as well.
Just to add what Joel said, it's on the website, and there's a good piece in there of questions and answers for parents to look at and understand the whole, all the program and how it affects each student and families and what they need to know. So it's on there, and it's good information.
So thanks to Jessica Murray and Holly Brooker for getting this together so quickly. We just found out late last week that this was going to happen, but we wanted to announce it today and have a whole campaign to get it out to families before next week. So thank you to them. I sent an email to the board today from Erie One BOCES. There is a policy development webinar on November 15th from 11 to 12. It's not so much how to strengthen our policies, but it's really what Erie One offers. So if anyone is interested in attending that, I know we're going to attend it at the district office level. That is in your email, so feel free to sign up for that if you're interested. Just a reminder to the community that next Thursday, we will be running a series of drills within our buildings, and that is our early dismissal drill. It's a 15-minute early dismissal, so that's next Thursday, November 2nd. I didn't write the date down, but I think it's November 2nd, yes. And then just a reminder to the board, this month is the end of the 2 meetings per month, and we revert back to the 1 meeting in November, December, January, February, and then we revert back to 2 again in March. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, Board of Education, new business. Does anyone have any new business? I know Mike earlier brought up our budget calendar. We'll be getting into that right after the new year. A lot of things have to take place this year. I mean, we have to really brainstorm moving into the future with electric buses and how we're going to fund that and how the state's going to fund it for us, hopefully. We have our capital reserve that we're going to update this year, so that will be on our ballot for voters to move that forward. I believe we have to put it back on the ballot to move it forward. So we'll have discussion on that. So there's a lot coming up in the budget cycle.
So usually we'll review our bus replacement schedule. And are we saying that any new buses, like if we're ordering buses, should we order electric ones? No. They're not available.
We don't have the
Well,
infrastructure.
it's quicksand, but the technology is changing very, very rapidly. And it may be very premature to do anything at this point in time.
Right.
I think we hedge.
I like the dual fuel. I like the propane buses myself. I like the concept of those, but
Yeah, we're under state legislature right now. We can't purchase anything but electric after 2027. And then we should have, well, shouldn't have, but
so
the expectation is that your entire fleet would be electrified by 2035.
Okay.
But there are campaigns in the state to reverse some of that because there are issues with infrastructure. There's the power grid is a question. Just charging in general, the lengths that the buses can go. So there are many questions that are still being navigated. One thing that when I was I think I mentioned this at the last board meeting, I went to 2 workshops there. One, you would have thought we were rolling out electric and that's all we were doing starting tomorrow.
Sure.
And then I went to the next one and they were like, put the brakes on. So I think still even at the Albany level, we're getting
so
mixed
long
messages.
as they're still so long as you still have access to the other vehicles.
Yeah.
You know, with public procurement, they could just say, no, you can only buy.
Right.
Well, you'll have access because New York's one of the few states that has set deadlines.
Okay.
So
it doesn't, right. They've got a working framework. Fair enough.
And Lindsay, myself, Pete, we met with a group on Zoom about what the power grid is able to handle and how much the costs would be, and everything is so preliminarily raw right now that I do think we have to be cautious, but I think we need to be looking as well. If you asked me a year ago, I would have said it's not going to happen. But then you get that mixed message. I think Camille, you might have gone to one of those workshops too when we were up there. So
for some reason, I recall in our replacement cycle that it was a pretty quiet year. It wasn't any of that.
Our replacement, we are working with Donegan's office right now to do a 5-year financial plan. We talked about this at the audit committee 2 weeks ago, which they have asked us for our bus replacement schedule. There was a 5-year bus plan which ended last year. So currently at this point, we are not putting anything on the ballot for May of 2024. That's currently, we don't have any plans to do so. So, and right now our replacement schedule is we're in a good place,
right?
But we also don't know with not being able to purchase after 2027 what that looks like. So we are working with Donegan's office to form a plan. This 5-year plan will start now, but this will be continuously working with them each year.
Sure.
To not just have a 5-year plan and stop at the end of that. So all of this is in the works of next year. We do have to give the state a plan for change in infrastructure, what that looks like for us for moving to all electric. So part of the meeting that Joel, Pete, and myself sat in, and Kathy, was to get the groundwork for that. So this will be in discussions, and I'll be going to the ASBO conference next month too, so I'm sure we'll have updates
Get some more
there.
data on there.
Yeah.
All right.
What is the timing of getting that 5-year plan specifically for that, the fleet? Just because understood that our 5-year plan that we had expired, like we've used it up, right? But like you're saying you're gonna be doing now, we should be planning every year. And this is really a critical time, right? Because if we can't purchase buses, you know, gasoline powered buses or diesel powered buses after a certain date, if we're not going to purchase any, I know like historically we didn't do a purchase one year and it set us way off.
That's
so the combination of those two together really scare me to say that we're not putting anything up on the ballot.
And
just my thoughts.
Right. We have time. It's just that there's not a plan to follow.
Right.
Now.
So
it's just we're starting that now. They have all of the information. I just finished sending it to them yesterday.
All the information as in the buses when they were purchased, what the odometer readings are and all that stuff. Oh.
Yes, but as of today, per Kathy and Pete, we are in a good place with our own fleet.
Yep.
But I agree that we got to decide that are we going to front and load the problem with propane buses in 2026? Because we don't know where electric's going or whatever.
I think it depends.
Technology is changing, and I think Ford just came out with a sodium-based battery, which is significantly safer than the batteries they're using now, which have thermal runaway. So.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen in 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot to.
I think the concern with that, right, is that even if you front load and purchase in 2026, you can only use them till, as of right now, you can only use them through 2035,
well, I think that's
right?
all,
So you can.
All part of the conversation is it all starts with there's not enough power.
Mm-hmm.
Utilities are laughing at people and saying, yeah, okay, sure. It takes 2/3 of 3 Mile Island to charge all the buses in New York State. Between electric buses, getting them, owning them, what you're going to do with this fleet you own, how much it's going to cost. It's all to the point where I think where the questions that are being asked of us are just to accumulate information that says this is a great idea, except it may be impractical and we may not be able to afford it. So.
We'll just wait for the drone buses. Right? I saw a guy who flew a drone the other day. Granted, he only went up about 30, 40 feet, but he was flying in a drone.
Pete and Kathy, currently our needs are kind of shifting towards smaller buses. But I mean, I know last year, what Mike had said, I think we only purchased one large and the rest were.
Well, our demographics have changed a couple times over the last few years, and part of that was fueled by COVID.
Yeah.
So, between special needs and homeless, we've changed a few things. A couple years ago, we didn't have a single use for a Suburban. Then we went back to Suburbans. Then we ended up with more wheelchair buses and short buses.
So it's not predictable.
Right now, we have the largest fleet we've ever had because we're covering all the different bases. And the fleet's not old either, so.
I think our turnaround is probably 10 to 12 years on our bus longevity. So
well, we were aiming for 10.
Like you said, do we front load in 2026?
Right. We were
anticipating 2035. They're going to go to mandate all buses.
We were aiming for 10 years because we had older buses that had higher mileages on them. Now we have buses that the mileage isn't that high, so a 10-year turnaround is
more
pretty
useful
short.
life out of it. Yeah, all right.
Okay. Makes
So that's why I think you want to look look now, right? Because you are between now and 2035.
Okay.
I think the other topic that I had under new business, and I'm just going to introduce this topic, and again, I'd like to hear from the board rep, not tonight, but in the next couple meetings.
Really loading up your homework.
I was good.
You can't use ChatGPT to answer them.
I wouldn't know if you did. There is a discussion that's taking place, and it's not just Highland schools, it's many schools, but it has to do around cell phone use in the high school? And does that prohibit students from learning effectively? So I think that we're going to talk about cell phones in the future, and is managing them taking too much time away from learning, or are they being leveraged for learning? So if you want to, we'll just think about that. And under new business at the next meeting, we'll have cell phones. Come back to that and see if, shake that tree and see what falls. Thank you.
Anyone else for new business? Okay, under old business, we have our second reading for policy 3430, diversity, inclusion, and racial equity policy. We're ready to move that forward in our second reading.
I've read it in
There was
full.
some adjustments made in the last 2 weeks.
Wonderful.
So be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the attached policy, policy number 3430, diversity, inclusion, and racial equity, as presented to the board at this meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Camille, second by Tom. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
And thanks to the committee for your work on that. Under correspondence, I don't have anything. I'm not sure if anybody else has anything, anything for the good and welfare of the district. All right. We'll open the floor up to public comment for general items only. General items.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Megan Bianco. I'm a Highland resident with 2 small children, one in pre-K and one in preschool. Thank you very much for instituting UPK for our district this year. I'm sure the amount of work and effort to get the program up and running was tremendous, but it was certainly worth it, as many families are benefiting from this addition, and my family looks forward to it growing within the district. Mr. Barone and to the entire Board of Education, thank you very much for your service to our district and allowing me to share a few thoughts and concerns with you this evening. Like many in our small community, I've read and have engaged with various members about the allegations of sexual assault and bullying within the modified football program. Paramount to my concern is how, from a systemic perspective, this is going to be addressed within the district. And while I do not intend to take much of your time tonight, I want to share that I grew up in New Paltz. I come from a family with deep roots and a valued sense of community, of which athletics has played a big role. As someone with this hyper-local, deeply rooted perspective, I never envisioned that when I grew up, that Highland would become home. However, it is a place my husband and I chose over New Paltz to raise our family. Upon telling folks of our move back home to Highland, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. So many raved about the schools, especially the elementary program. It came to put my reservations about our decision at ease. My nervousness was based on a long time and storied rivalry with anecdotal stories about how things in Highland athletics were a bit different, and that they played by a different set of rules and sportsmanship came second to a win by all means mentality. I am not here tonight to speak illy of the athletic program, but I would like to strongly suggest that perhaps when reviewing all aspects of what has been alleged and brought to light, we take a hard look at the leadership in place here at Highland. Proper education, certifications, and training should be held by anyone working with our students. We need to remember that these are students first, athletes second. I want to express my concern about the role we take in educating our student athletes about what sexual assault looks like across the spectrum of what it is. It is so much more than no means no, and of course, no means no. But we need to teach all students about the horrible repercussions sexual assault and bullying have on them, their friends, the kids on the bus, on the field, and in our community. What has been alleged is horrifying, and while my intention tonight is not to throw more gasoline on the fire, rather ask the Board of Education to do the hard work to address these allegations from a systemic perspective. to move beyond the conventional calculations of school discipline. I understand the process is long and involved and that we will not have answers tonight. I realize that common sense demand of many of the affected families is to demand the harshest punishment possible. And while I'm not excluding that, I'm only suggesting that in evaluating what comes next for our community and our student athletes, it's critical to the story we want others to share on our behalf. That Highland Athletics faced something that seemed impossible to rectify, and they did just that with holistic, encompassing change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. And we'll move to adjournment. Motion to adjourn, motion by Camille, second by Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight.